yourself, your students in the chat, if you're a student and you want to teach your peers how to use technology, if you're someone who's, running a society, if you're, you don't even have to be that well into tech at all. You can be like a marketing student. You could be someone who's into business, economics. If you're someone who has that passion to teach and learn, Microsoft will give you that opportunity. And it's really amazing because I've, had the opportunity to do things like go on Microsoft Build and do a talk there, for example, where like last year I might have been like, hey, I just want to attend it. But like to be given these opportunities, presenting to interns currently, to present amongst like amazing people at Microsoft Build is something which I never really thought would have been an opportunity I would have had. But it's given to students through Microsoft, and like, yeah, they give you this opportunity. They're basically like the providers. They give you this opportunity to do what you love to do, and they amplify that to a whole nother level.
All right, so if we're to talk about like the work and the duty that you do carry out while you're part of the program, what are the things that you could say that if you're part of the program as a student, you would be doing?
So if you think about societies at university, they run events. So that's like teaching how to, use certain technologies. Like, hey, if you're a computer science student, you might learn how to make a website. But a lot of these things, like using Azure, using services on the cloud, aren't very well taught at universities, perhaps. And it's up to, us to spread the knowledge about Microsoft technologies. So this could be even Word. So you're sort of expected to do that. And it's not that hard. The amazing thing is you're connected with other like-minded students. So for me, I've always been like a huge Microsoft fan. So like it comes off as very, very I'm very biased in my mind, right? That I'm very biased towards Microsoft technologies. But then, there's like, if there's one person there who has that passion, I'm like, hey, we can bond over this. But then you have all these other Microsoft student partners when you get into the community. They're like, they have that same passion, and it's like finding people who are like-minded like you is the sort of amazing thing about it is that, okay, you're expected to teach these technologies, but you have this sort of amazing network. And what people do say is like, your network is your net worth.
Yeah, that's
so. Yeah, it's like you're meeting people from around the world. Like I'm meeting people from India, people from Ghana, people from, like Nigeria, people from Pakistan, people from China. It's incredible. And we have this like connection, which is going to last hopefully for life. I was talking to another incoming Microsoft intern, and she's also a Microsoft student partner. And we work on events together. And we would talk about, how we would do things. Like it's pretty awesome because I never have really so my first job last year.
Yeah.
So when I was doing software engineering, data analytics and stuff, that was the first time I properly had to like coordinate with someone in India doing work with him, right? We had to like work on a project together, like building this website. And it's like, okay, that was my first exposure. But then when you get thrown into this community of people who have been like selected to teach, who are doing these things beyond just like the subject, it's like you see their passion, and it's like, wow, it's really fun. And like all of you who are looking to like take your studies to another level, this is like something which you can do, which ups your resume as well. Because then, it's something which you're choosing to do, which isn't like, hey, I'm just doing it to get a degree.
All right.
And
So,
yeah.
Okay, sorry. So if we're to talk about the application process, for those joining us right now, we welcome you. We're talking about the Microsoft Student Ambassador Program that we did post on the Tande page earlier on. So Salman is currently actually part of the program. He's already working and interning in Microsoft right now. So if we're to talk through the application process, can you just tell us how you apply and how it works out?
For the student partner program? Okay, so For the Microsoft Student Partner Program, now it will be, the new program will be called the Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador Program. You can go ahead, if you go to my profile, you can find a link to my latest video. But if you go into my channel, there's a video which shows you how to actually apply to this program. We had like a full in-depth, like detailed video on like, okay, what you need to do in each stage of this application. It's literally like a page. But we go into like full detail. So if you follow these steps, you can pretty much, I think, get in. You get like, I think, students who have like watched this video, and then you might see them in the community. So it's like the process is like, you say what inspires you to teach tech. How would you teach tech to other students? How would you advertise an event? Because at the end of it, the practical stuff which you actually get measured on is how how many events you do, how many people you're like getting to your events, things like that. So they also do, whilst they do want you to be passionate, you need to show you have the capabilities to actually demonstrate this. So you think like, hey, if you can show them, and not just say, if you can show them, hey, I've written this blog, I've run this event before, then I think that's good. My example, I showed I used to teach children how to code who are like 10 years old, or underprivileged schools, like girls only classes. So that was an example I would show. If you show these examples, then that's pretty much a lot of student partners right now might not actually have that experience. So if you can show that, that's already you're ahead of the curve in that situation.
All right, okay, that sounds good. So in the application process, if we're talking about the different stages that are there, like just a short summary, and ideally how long usually it takes when you apply, and what they expect from you, like a resume or anything of that sort.
So you don't actually need to attach your resume. It's just like a few details. You have to prove you're a student. So you can only do it if you're a full-time student. And you don't have to be undergrad. You can be doing your PhD. You can, you've got student partners currently who are like 30, and like, there's no age. Sorry, there's no age limit. So it's like, yeah. So I think we lost connection there for a second.
Yeah, you're back now.
Okay, cool. So yeah, what I was saying was, you fill in your details, you prove that you're a full-time student. You also, show, okay, what you're inspired about. Can you, teach technologies? How would you advertise? All these sorts of things. And you give some examples. Like there's one part of the application, you have to film a video. And this video is like saying, you talk about one of these topics, like inspiration, teaching, something like that, right? So there's even a video I put showing, okay, my one was like 1 minute long, I think, or 1 or 2 minutes long. And it shows, okay, this is who I am, this is some events I did. So I put like pictures of events on like in your video. So it's a video. You have the control you have full control over what you want to show them. Whilst you can just talk and say, hey, this is what I did, you could like edit a picture and picture examples. So that's what I did. And yeah, you can see a advice video. Or if you do want to, you can. I'm very slow at messaging on Instagram, but I will try for this next week to reply to anyone who asks how to apply if you want. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
Thank you. We'll add your we will add your contact details at the end of this. While looking at the program, what skills do you think people can develop from being part of this program, or once you're accepted into it and participating in it?
So the skills, presenting in front of large audiences. So, that's public speaking is a huge thing, right? Being able to present to people, because this is like a skill which is a soft skill. In the industry, you think, okay, you need all these hard skills. You need to be able to problem solve. You need to be able to, find solutions to all these problems which are like people are dealing with every day. but you don't learn these things in university, like how to deal with people. You don't learn how to manage people. But when you're thrown into a community where all you have to do is manage events, all you have to do is promote events, you learn how do you, pivot yourself in a situation where I'm amongst 2,500 people who are also running events. How do you make your events, come up to involve those people? How do you work with them and also involve them, you know, in these events? You can work with them to help you advertise, but you also want to make them feel included. And this is the thing about being a leader. You need to make sure that there's no hierarchy things. And these are things you learn just by doing it. And you don't really learn this from reading books. Like, I've learned, dealing with certain people, sometimes you just need to message them directly and tell them, hey, are you okay? And people skills are very important in the industry, because when you go to your job, whilst you might be a software engineer, if you think about it, it works like, you have loads of different node modules connected, and they all work together to get to some ideal goal. And if you, that's one valuable skill you learn, how to manage people, how to actually communicate effectively, and how to build rapport amongst people. Because at the end of the day, when you get to these roles, even if you start out as a software engineer, you might be a manager for someone in the future. And if you don't know how to manage people below you, then it can be a bit harder. But this is your experience, this is your opportunity to do things outside of the curriculum.
Okay, yes, that's really true. Things like public speaking, those are things that we all need to learn and be able to know. So if you were to give out some advice with the applications or with anything, is there anything that you would want to let the audience know in general about Microsoft and the program in general?
So specifically when it comes to Microsoft, you don't have to be a Microsoft fanatic or Microsoft fan like me. I know my life is pretty much Microsoft, but there's so many student partners who will talk about other technologies, okay? I'm you think about a spectrum, I'm on one end of the spectrum where I'm full on Microsoft, you must use Microsoft. This is the only technology that exists. That's me, okay? You can be like that, or you can be like, hey, obviously I do acknowledge other companies, I'm exaggerating a bit, but it's you don't have to be like that. You don't have to know any Microsoft technologies at all. You just need to show. This is the thing with Microsoft. They are very big on growth mindset. So if you show that you're able to learn, that's amazing, because what we do is student partners who've never done technology with Microsoft before, they come to they come into the program and they have this, objective to learn. Okay. They are told, okay, you must do this Microsoft learning path. Okay. So this is good advice for any of you. If you do apply, if you end up getting in, you're going to be told, okay, to do a learning path, and then from there you need.
All right, you're back.
Okay, hi. So yeah, it's you do a learning path and then you teach that, basically. That's how I did my first event. It was to 200 people at university, and it's hey, that's really fun. And it's not that, scary. You get used to it, and it's about throwing yourself in the deep end as well, because you never know until you try it. So, if you can show that you're willing to learn, if you can show that, you can develop your skills, then that's something they will love. It's not about knowing everything and then saying, hey, I'll just teach this and not do any other learning. Because at the end of the day as well, when it comes to technology, the kids of today who are 10 years old, who will be graduating in 2030, okay? Not 2030, but 2031. They will be doing technology, jobs potentially which never have existed before. If you look into the job names that exist, you have